Mechanics know most people don't question the bill, and that's exactly how these scams survive. From bogus part swaps to sneaky labor charges, shady shops are cashing in on your trust. In this video, we're exposing 7 mechanic scams everyone falls for. If you own a car, you need to hear this before your next visit. Don't be fooled. Number 7. Overcharging for parts and labor. Charging too much for parts and labor are the most common and frustrating mechanic scams in the book. Most car owners expect to pay for both the time spent working on the vehicle and the materials used. That part makes sense. But because you're not standing in the garage watching every move, things can get a bit blurry. Mechanics typically charge somewhere between $75 and $130 per hour. This rate depends on where you live, how complex the repair is, or how experienced the mechanic happens to be. The problem is, it's tough to know how long a job should take. If a mechanic says it'll be 4 hours but wraps it up in 3, you're still on the hook for the full quote. Since there's no clear rule book for labor time, it's hard to know when you're being overbilled. Then there's the issue of inflated parts costs. Sometimes shops add a generous markup on parts, and unless you've done your homework, you won't even notice. That's why it helps to get a quote first and then check online prices for the parts listed. You might be surprised at the difference. The more you understand about the repair, the harder it is to take advantage of you. Finding a mechanic you trust and doing some quick research can go a long way. It's not about being paranoid. It's about not paying more than you need to. Unfortunately, some shops don't just overcharge. They go ahead and fix things you never even agreed to. Number 6. Repairs done without your approval. This one's especially sneaky. A shop should never start fixing your car without clearly checking in with you first. Just receiving a written estimate doesn't mean you've agreed to move forward. Unfortunately, some dishonest mechanics use this as a loophole. They go ahead with repairs you never approved, and when you return, you're handed a bill for work you didn't ask for. Worse yet, they might say you can't take your car until it's paid for. That pressure alone is enough to make most people hand over the cash, even if something feels off. The truth is that they're not allowed to do that. Unless you agreed to the repairs in advance, they cannot legally hold your car. A shop only has the right to keep your vehicle if a mechanic's lien is in place, and that requires a mutual agreement on the work beforehand. Without that, the shop has no legal ground to stand on. Also, if a mechanic goes ahead with extra repairs that you didn't approve, that's on them. They took the risk, and if they can't get you to pay, they may have to eat the cost. I've actually seen this happen. A friend of mine once had surprise repairs done without a second confirmation, and after a short dispute, the shop had to cover the extra costs themselves. The best rule is simple. If you didn't say yes, they can't say you owe. It's your car, not their playground. Of course, not every scam is loud. Some just hide behind complicated words and confident shrugs. Number 5. Confusing jargon without straight answers. Some mechanics take advantage of the fact that most people aren't fluent in car speak. When someone rattles off a long-winded explanation packed with technical terms, it's hard to know what's real and what's just fluff. That's where this scam comes in. A mechanic might charge you for work that was never done, or they might simply exaggerate how difficult the job really is. They lean into the jargon, count on your confusion, and before you know it, you're paying for things you never needed. If you don't fully understand what's being done, it's much easier for them to pad the bill. They might toss in extra hours, tack on parts that weren't necessary, or make the job sound more complicated than it actually is. It becomes a game of just trust me, when really there's no reason you shouldn't understand what your money is paying for. To protect yourself, ask for a plain English version of the repair. A trustworthy mechanic should be able to explain the job in simple terms without making it sound like rocket science. If they can't or won't, that's usually a red flag. When a repair is truly needed, it doesn't take a sales pitch to explain why. The better you understand what your car needs, the harder it becomes for someone to inflate the cost or sneak in work that doesn't belong. A little clarity goes a long way, especially when it comes to your wallet. Sometimes the pitch sounds simple, like a friendly reminder to come back sooner than you really need to. Number 4. Unnecessary oil changes. It's one of the oldest tricks in the book. A quick oil change shop gives you a little sticker telling you to come back in 3,000 miles. Seems helpful at first, right? The problem is that advice is stuck in the past. Years ago, that might have been solid guidance. But modern engines are more efficient, and the oil itself has improved a lot. Most cars on the road today don't need fresh oil nearly that often. If you check your owner's manual, there's a good chance it'll suggest waiting until around 5,000 miles or even longer between oil changes. In some cases, manufacturers go as high as 7,500 miles. That's a big difference from what those windshield stickers tell you. But unless you know better, it's easy to follow the reminder and get oil changes more often than necessary. The more often you go in, the more money you're spending. And while frequent oil changes won't hurt your car, they will start to hurt your wallet. That's why it pays to stick with the schedule your manufacturer recommends, not the one the shop hopes you'll follow. Also, make sure the shop is using the right oil for your engine. Not all oils are created equal, and using a low-quality product just to get you in and out faster isn't doing your car any favors. In short, trust your manual more than the sticker. Your engine and your bank account will thank you. That's not the only time you'll be told your car needs something right now, especially when they've got props to prove it. Number 3, the air filter swap scam. This one's more common than it should be. You bring your car in for something simple, and before you know it, a mechanic appears holding a filthy air filter, telling you it came out of your engine. It looks awful, blackened and dusty, and they make it sound like you'd be crazy to drive another mile without replacing it. The trouble is, that dirty filter may not be yours. Some shops have been known to keep a few grimy filters from past jobs lying around just for this purpose. They use them as props to convince customers they need an urgent replacement. To make the show convincing, they'll often pull your vehicle into the garage, raise it up, and walk you through what seems like a genuine inspection. But if you can't physically check the part coming out of your car, there's no real way to verify what you're being shown. Now, if your visit had nothing to do with the air filter, there's no good reason for anyone to touch it. A mechanic shouldn't be removing parts that weren't related to the original service unless you gave clear permission. These surprise replacement offers, especially when backed by parts you can't confirm, are usually more about padding the bill than protecting your car. If this happens, it's completely fine to say no. In fact, it might be smarter to end the visit altogether and take your car elsewhere. A second opinion could save you money and a whole lot of frustration. Still, sometimes the real scam isn't in what they show you. It's in what they refuse to give back. Number 2. Refusal to return old car parts. One thing that most drivers overlook is that every single piece of your car, no matter how big or small, is your property. Whether it's a worn brake pad or a cracked thermostat, if it came off your vehicle, it belongs to you. And when a part is replaced during a repair, you have every right to ask for it back. Now, if you've been going to the same trusted mechanic for years, it's perfectly fine to let them toss the old parts for you. It saves you the trouble of dealing with dirty, bulky components. But if you're working with someone new, especially for a major repair, asking to keep the old part is a smart move. It's one of the easiest ways to confirm that the job was actually done. If the mechanic refuses or gives you a vague excuse, that's a red flag. Without the removed part in hand, how can you be certain it was replaced at all? Some shady shops charge for replacements that never happened. That's where this simple request becomes powerful. A legitimate mechanic won't flinch at handing over old components. Most are happy to show you what they took out so you can feel confident about the service. So, if you're ever unsure, just ask for the part. If they hesitate, it might be time to take your car and your business somewhere else. Peace of mind shouldn't be optional when it comes to your vehicle. That peace of mind disappears fast when the part they hand you isn't just used, it's fake. Number 1. Using counterfeit parts in your car. This scam doesn't get talked about nearly enough, but it's a serious issue: counterfeit car parts. You might think this kind of thing only happens with expensive luxury brands, but fake components show up in everything from high-end sports cars to everyday family sedans. In fact, U.S. Customs officials regularly seize millions of dollars worth of counterfeit auto parts every single year. Over the past 5 years alone, that number has crossed $60 million. The problem isn't just about fake logos or companies losing money. These parts can directly impact your safety. Real auto parts go through strict testing to make sure they'll work properly under stress. But when it comes to counterfeit ones, there's no telling what kind of shortcuts were taken. And we're not talking about cup holders here. Think airbags, brake pads, bolts that keep your engine from shifting during a turn. If those parts don't perform the way they should, you're putting your life at risk every time you hit the road. On top of that, there's the financial side of the scam. If a mechanic installs a knockoff part but charges you full price, they're not just risking your safety, they're also ripping you off. They pocket the difference while you drive away, thinking the job was done right. The best way to avoid this is to always ask for the manufacturer details of any major part being replaced. A trustworthy mechanic will have nothing to hide and will gladly walk you through what's being used. Car trouble is stressful enough without getting scammed. Knowing what to watch for can save you time, money, and a whole lot of frustration. Have you ever dealt with a shady mechanic or spotted one of these scams yourself? Let us know in the comments. We'd love to hear your story. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more.